Well, good morning, good afternoon, good evening, and welcome back to the Thai Expat Daily Show. I'm your host, Kira Mack, and delighted you've been able to join us yet again for today's live stream, live from Phuket here in Thailand. Now, before we do get started, don't forget to like this video and do subscribe if you already haven't. And also, don't forget to hit the notification bell so that YouTube will, of course, let you know when the next live stream or the next podcast is uploaded onto the site. Now, if you like listening to us on Podcast Player, you can catch this show later on an array of podcast players, which can be found on the link below. And guys, if you like the show, if you want to support, this show, you can do so by looking down the description and you will find a link to buymeacoffee.com. And you can support the show through that. So let's jump into the 4 stories doing the rounds here today. Just checking that the connection is all good. Yeah, seems to be working fine this morning. So the first story is in relation to the Prime Minister of Thailand, and he's basically quoted saying, "I'm not a military puppet in not dissolving ISOC." So Prime Minister Thavisin has dismissed a claim by a media outlet that he is a puppet of the Thai military for his government's decision not to dissolve the Internal Security Operations Command, that's ISOC. In his post on X on Thursday night, the Prime Minister said such criticism is misleading and he would like to set the record straight. Dissolving ISOC was never part of the Pheu Thai Party's policy, neither before, during nor after the election. The fact is reinforced by the policy statement I made in Parliament. The PTP and the PTP-led government intend, however, to modernise the army and integrate it into the democratic process, he said. He did admit, however, the ISOC, which was created during the Cold War, is not relevant today, and it is its duty to ensure that the organisation's role align with the democratic values, upholding the rights and protections and the freedoms of the Thai people. We believe in incremental change, especially given the 2 decades of political ideological conflicts Thailand has experienced, said the Prime Minister, as he stressed that his government does not choose a path of confrontation and destruction, but rather of harmonising ideas and working for the benefit of the people. Noting that his party was elected by the people and he was endorsed by Parliament, he urged his critics not to undermine the voice of the people. I'll get back to that in a second. He said that if he was a puppet, he would choose to be a puppet of the people. The Prime Minister's ex-post was in response to an opinion piece. Thavisin shows true colours as military-backed stooge by the Thai Inquirer. The media criticised the Prime Minister for not supporting the Move Forward Party's bill seeking the dissolution of ISOC, noting that his decision is more than just a stand on a single policy, but a revelation of character. So, interesting article and interesting comments for the Prime Minister. So we'll cut through some of this firstly. ISOC has no real use in 2023. It's something that the junta have been using for years to keep an eye on the country and what's going on. The idea that you're going to bring the army into the democratic process. Why should the army be in the democratic process at all? The army should have nothing to do with democracy in the country. They should have nothing to do with elections. They shouldn't be committing coups every few years. And when he talks like this, it does seem like he's trying to appease the army by not getting rid of ISOC as well. Also, the idea that he was elected by the people, well, he didn't. His party came in second, and badly in second. In fact, they were expected to win by a landslide, and they were beaten by a party that is 3 years old. So, I don't think you can go around claiming that. Now, as for the Move Forward Party, the Move Forward Party are in opposition. They can bring as many bills in as they want, but at the end of the day, they decided to opt out of government at the end of the day. They decided that they weren't going to be able to form a government, and now they're the opposition. Most of what they're talking about, I've been in Thailand quite a long. I've never heard so much rattlings from an opposition party, and they certainly get a lot of media play for it. I think more than any other party has certainly got in the past as being the opposition leaders. Again, they're not going to get very much. They can bring in as many bills as they want. They can discuss as much as they want. The best way for the Move Forward Party to make any kind of strides and any kind of change is to do it on a local level, where you see in Phuket they won all the MP votes. So I think there was 3 or 4 seats up for grabs. They won them all. And in Phuket, they've been able to make meaningful change here in Phuket, which actually is a very good thing. So, they've been part of the people who are here to make sure that, well, let's say those apps can use the airport, that there's the tunnel that goes underneath near Central Festival. Why exactly is it always shut down, and why was there so much money spent on it? They're able to do good things when they're here, and that's a good issue. Pinocchio comes to mind from Brian. Yes, possibly right there, Brian. But nevertheless, yeah, these are the things that they can do on a local level, and then just prepare for the next election and prepare to do things right this time. So make sure that their leader doesn't have shares in a media company, and regardless of how they wanted to spin it, he did have shares in a media company. Make sure that their leader in the next election is squeaky clean. And if they want to get into government, that's the way they have to do it, And also you see now a lot of, there's 3 or 4 of their MPs have been banished from their party and gotten rid of for sexual harassment of women online. So these are the things too, Not everybody is all they're cracked up to be. We're going to move on to another quite an interesting story that I have seen online, and it does make you wonder what exactly Phuket Immigration are up to. But Phuket Immigration are encouraging residents to report illegal foreign businesses. So the Phuket office of the Immigration Bureau has extended its gratitude to local residents for their continuous reporting of foreign nationals suspected of conducting illegal businesses on the island or working illegally, despite no publicised arrests being made based on these complaints. There's quite the comment right there. The call for cooperation was reiterated today as Phuket Immigration reported another inspection of a tour business run by a Russian national that targeted Russian tourists. Okay. Phuket Tourist Police and Phuket immigration officers visited Kata on November 2nd to investigate a complaint about a foreign business person selling tours at a counter near Karan municipality and Phuket Kata or Risotel. According to the complaint, the foreign national was conducting sales at Ivan Durian tour counter, while the company's Thai staff were merely present but not directly involved in the operation. For decades, this practice, locally known as the sitting guide, has been used by foreign tour guides who balance between being legitimate translators assisting Thai guides and illegally working as guides themselves. Now, upon officers' arrival at the scene, only the Thai staff of Ivan Durian tour was present at the counter. Later, a Russian man identified in the report as Ivan Pigo arrived at the counter. Now, according to Phuket Immigration's report, Mr. Pigo provided a valid work permit and a passport with a relevant visa. He also said that his notification of residence, TM30, properly completed. The company license issued in the name of Ivan Durian Tour Co. Limited was also legitimate and allowed for the sale of tours. With no violations found, Mr. Pigo was reminded of the necessity to adhere to all applicable visa-related and work-related rules. The officers then took several photos together with the Russian man and his Thai female staff before leaving. The report did not mention Mr. Pigo's license to rent out motorbikes or sell SIM cards as advertised at the Ivan Durian counter in Kata, noting he has been said that the overall number of Thai personnel Ivan Durian tour. Now, according to the Business Development Department, Ivan Durian Tour was established on July 11th, 2023. The company has a registered capital of 4 million baht, which technically allows getting work permits for 2 foreigners if 4 Thais per each foreigner are employed. Mr. Ivan Pigo is listed in the database as the company's director, with one person entity as the shareholder. The company's registered field of operation is limited to tour operator activities only. The report concluded by stating Phuket immigration officers would like to thank all the people who help officials by providing clues. Clues. You mean snitch. In early September, Phuket Immigration encouraged the public to report any wrongdoings by foreigners in Phuket, including working illegally. So this is a Russian man who is... Good morning, Stephen. This is a Russian man who is working and has his own business in Thailand, and legally doing so by the reports. In fact, he has all the proper business licenses. He has the proper paid up capital. He wasn't even present when they turned up. And this idea that, it's, what did they say? The way they phrased it, that, it's been a practice to have Thai people standing by and then a Russian translating. Well, that would make sense in many ways, because my experience of Russian people is that they don't speak great English. And then if you have Thai people who don't speak Russian and speak English, you're going to have a lot of miscommunication. So, of course, you would want to have somebody there who speaks the language of that person. I mean, in essence, let's be honest, Phuket is a tourist island. That's what it's known for. So, it does make you wonder. Somebody snitched on him. Okay, there's a fella standing there. He's talking to customers. He has a Thai person there. He obviously has his paid up capital. He's obviously, paying the staff that are there, paying their social security because he has a legitimate business. But somebody has decided, because the police say you should snitch on, people you think have a business. Now, what does this do for this guy? Now, firstly, all his details are splashed over the Phuket news at the moment, and he's done nothing wrong. Absolutely nothing wrong. And I'll be honest, sometimes I think there is a lot of illegal Russian businesses. But if you go to inspect the business, you don't make a hullabaloo out of it and then at the end go, oh yeah, no, he's legit, he's got everything, and we're going to report it to the newspaper, make sure they all know about it. You should only be publicising the ones that have done something wrong, not the guy that's done something right, because then you bring suspicion on him for no particular reason other than somebody's a bit jealous of his business. Maybe they wanted that spot where he's selling from and they didn't get it. I don't like this idea of you should be snitching on people, regardless of what nationality they are, where they're from, if they have a legitimate business. By the way, it'd be very easy to know if somebody's a legitimate business selling tours. You have to have a license. You have to have a license to sell tours. So, and you have to apply for that, and you have to go through the necessary documents to get it. And I think this I do think it's kind of snitching. I just don't like it. I think it's wrong, and I think what it does is it encourages, people to be harassed for no particular reason, and we've all heard about that. So it says here, Mickey, like in Thailand, sorry to interrupt, if you write a bad review on a hotel, you can be sued if you are snitched on, and if it's false, the locals can be sued. No, so that thing, and Mikey, I'll come back to it at the end of the show. Let me finish this, and then I'll come back to about this whole writing bad reviews, because that's kind of a different thing. But I'll tell you a story about something about writing stuff online in a minute. We'll move on to the next story, and another story about Thai people going abroad, and it's a story I noticed in a number of outlets because it's been getting a lot of airplay recently. So why are Thai tourists often sent back from South Korea? And the Thai Prime Minister is going to investigate this. I don't think you need to investigate. I think it's pretty obvious. Thai Prime Minister Srettha Thavisin has pledged to resolve a row over the kingdom's nationals frequently being denied entry into South Korea, an issue that has led many travellers to vent their frustration on social media. Now, Mr. Thavisin said he would take up the matter with the Deputy Minister of Foreign Affairs, Mr. Chattapong, adding that he is not aware of problems blamed on rigid immigration policies. Data from the Korea Tourism Organization showed 250,000 Thais visited the country in the first 8 months of this year. A survey by digital payments company Visa found South Korea was almost among the top 5 travel destinations for Thais this year. But many Thais travelling to South Korea have come under scrutiny in recent months, despite holding valid documents, sparking accusations of unfair treatment. Several Thais visiting South Korea got stuck in the immigration process, and they were eventually sent back no matter how many documents they presented to guarantee their credibility, wrote a user on X, formerly known as Twitter. The passenger claimed he was peppered with embarrassing questions about the travel itinerary. An immigration officer reportedly told her she had been to East Asian nation multiple times before deporting her. The woman's ordeal prompted others to share similar experiences, saying South Korea deliberately avoids Thais. I regret the money I spent on the plane ticket. I would recommend going to another country that's more romantic than Korea, said another social media user. Some wondered about the purpose of South Korea's conducting tourism promotions in Thailand if it was not keen on attracting guests from the Southeast Asian country. Another commenter said, we don't want to read reports about someone taking time off work to travel and being insulted, disrespected and sent back to their country. It's better to go places that welcome you. In September, Thai influencer Warapon, Piatasamatsin, said that she was detained by South Korean immigration officials who made her spend a night on a cold floor. She was later asked to leave the country while her fiancé was permitted to continue his trip. Many believe that the perception of Thais as Pinoy, which are little ghosts, could have influenced officials to ban them. And that was according to now the Bangkok Post. The term is used to describe the estimated 100,000 illegal Thai workers employed in South Korea's manufacturing and agriculture. Sorry about that.
It's very great competition. We think we can also join. We want first prize. Actually, keep awesome.
But not everyone was convinced. It's not a problem with the little ghosts. Any more people who have returned flight tickets and paid for the hotel, you send them back. Which little ghosts buy concert tickets, a user asked. Others called on the Thai government to find a solution to the long-running problem of illegal workers, or it could continue to discrimination of legitimate tourists, which affects between Bangkok and Seoul. So that is another story about the Thais who go abroad, and they're being... Actually, what they're saying is Thais heading abroad to South Korea. And I'll be honest, I know a few people who have been deported, and literally they were going there to work illegally. Some go in all different directions. They don't fly direct. They take a long trip to Hong Kong and make it look like they're kind of on a tour around Asia. So this whole idea that it's discrimination, maybe there is a certain amount of discrimination involved in it, but there could be also that idea that they know that there's a certain amount of Thais going to Korea illegally, and it's their job as immigration officers to find those people. I think it hasn't helped that, if 100,000 people are already there illegally, that they're looking at a particular nation going, are they coming here to stay and work? What's their reason? As one of these people did, with a quote in it, they said, well, what person will buy tickets, return tickets and a hotel and blah, 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 if they're coming to work illegally? Actually, many people will do that. Absolutely. Many people will do that. That's how you show. I mean, no matter what country, if you're going to work in America illegally, right, and you're going to sneak in, or you're going on a tourist visa or something, of course you buy a return ticket, because that would be part of the deal for the visa free. You have to have a return ticket, number one. You don't want to draw attention to yourself. And of course, if the immigration asks where you're staying, you have to be able to show them a booking. Throw in a concert ticket, why not? It makes it legitimize your stay more. If you're so desperate to get there, if you spent your time planning and you've got a job lined up, paying extra money for different things, is a legitimate way to, prove to the immigration officer that you are going there to legally go on a holiday, when in fact you're not. I know people who did the very same thing. They actually, what they ran into, the problem was they were going on a 5-day trip. And what they had done was they bought their tickets, they had their hotel, but their hotel was 5 hours or 4.5 hours from the airport they flew into. So it wasn't, the immigration officers looking at this going, how are you planning this? You're not going to be able to get there in this time. This doesn't make any sense. And yes, he was right. They were going there illegally. So Thailand can say, oh, it's discrimination, we should go here. I mean, they're saying that, why do Korea advertise? Well, they've had 250,000 Thais go there this year already with no problems getting in. But there are certain ones that are being scrutinized. And maybe the ones that are deported, maybe they're going on holiday. But maybe their plan doesn't actually make any sense to authorities. But at the end of the day, it's up to Thailand to figure out ways to kind of guarantee to, let's say, the best way to the Korean authorities that their citizens are going there just for a holiday. I don't know. It's a tough one to figure out. Many people will find that quite hard to figure out, and hard to understand how they can come up with some kind of concept to stop people legally going anywhere and to prove it to immigration. It just doesn't work that way. Of course, you go to other countries like the Philippines, where they won't let anybody leave the country. Their own immigration stops you, quizzes you when you're leaving the country. Where are you going to? What are you doing? Oh, we don't think you're going on a holiday. We think you're going to work. And that legitimately happens in the Philippines. It's very hard for Filipino citizens to leave their own country. They have to have proof they're leaving, what they're doing. That's just to leave their own country at their own immigration. So, Thailand doesn't want that either. They want the ability for people to flow in and out. But it's a tough thing to kind of figure out. But we're just going to look down to the comments anyway. So Mickey, like Thailand. So if you write a bad review on a hotel, you can be sued. So if you are snitched on and it's false, should the local be sued? So that's a difficult one, because first, how would they know it was you who wrote the review? But never, the thing about writing bad reviews about hotels, This has been abused by a couple of hotels in Thailand who just, I think, the managers of the hotel and the owner of the hotel, just, he's not able to take a bit of criticism. The whole point of review sites, I mean, hotels love review sites when they're giving them good reviews. When they're on Google My Business and they're getting a 4.9 out of 5 score, they're sitting there basking in it. Oh, look at us. We're number 1 on TripAdvisor. And suddenly then you get a bad review and they're like, oh, we're going to sue the people. It shouldn't be allowed to sue people for writing a bad. Now, if it was being able to prove that it was not a correct review, but still then, it's such a minority of things, And it comes under the Computer Crimes Act. And you can literally go down to a police station and file a complaint if somebody writes something that you don't like about you on the internet. I know people. I had staff a number of years ago, and a girl who had written something about somebody on Facebook, something not very nice, and the next day the police visited her to have a talk with her about it. Now, how screwed up is that? Somebody reported it. They reported it. And that's how it is. I think when Mikey, like Thailand, says, you can't really see the problem with defamation here and this kind of snitching is that the defamation can be true. That's the point of it all. Even if you write something legitimately about somebody, right? Legitimately about somebody, you can still be sued and they can still take you to court and they can still win. Because the law is not aimed at providing truth and justice. It's just protecting the reputation, whether it's good or bad. And that's all. And that's why it needs a significant kind of change to things. But really, that's Thailand in a nutshell sometimes, I think. But guys, that's it for today in terms of the news. Just a couple of stories to keep you abreast. I'd love to know your opinion on the one about, let's say, the locals being asked to kind of inform on local foreign businesses only, by the way, not the other ones, the local businesses that are not paying tax and all kinds of stuff. But I'd love to know your opinion on it all down below in the comment section. And for the people who've tuned in today, thank you again for tuning in. But that's it for today, folks. We'll see you tomorrow morning as always, and thanks again for tuning in. Have a great day and do stay safe out there. Thanks again.